This is your host. Today we are going to be discussing Pride and Prejudice, an 1813 novel written by Jane Austen. If you enjoy this video and want to watch more like it, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so that you are notified every time we upload a new video. Let's start our analysis of Pride and Prejudice with a brief summary of the plot. Pride and Prejudice tells the story of Elizabeth Bennet, the second daughter of the Bennets who live in rural England in the early 1800s. Her mother is determined to marry off all 5 of her daughters to eligible bachelors. One day, a rich bachelor named Bingley moves into the neighborhood. He is immediately taken with the eldest Bennet's sister Jane. Soon after, Bingley's friend, the wealthy Mr. Darcy, insults Elizabeth by refusing to dance with her at a party, a slight that is only compounded when he later criticizes her family's low social status. These criticisms make Elizabeth intensely dislike him. Adding fuel to the fire, the dashing but deceitful military officer Mr. Wickham paints a picture of Darcy as a villain who ruined Wickham's chances for promotion through slander and jealousy. Elizabeth falls for Wickham's lies, and her prejudice against Darcy only grows. However, when Elizabeth's youngest sister Lydia runs off with Wickham, Darcy secretly intervenes to save her reputation by paying off Wickham and arranging for the couple to be married. Elizabeth learns of Darcy's honorable, caring and generous nature, completely changing her opinion of him. Darcy, who has humbled himself after his first failed proposal, asks Elizabeth to marry him again. She accepts, and they are soon joined in marriage by Jane and Bingley. The novel concludes with a hopeful vision of love and mutual respect as the foundation for marriage. Now let's move on to the main themes of Pride and Prejudice. Love and marriage are the central themes of Pride and Prejudice. From the opening lines, it is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. The reader is made aware that marriage is a primary concern for the characters. Marriage is not approached lightly by Austen. There are 2 main types of marriages depicted in the novel. The first is a marriage of convenience in which 2 people unite primarily because of social or financial pressures. This type of marriage is represented by Charlotte Lucas's marriage to Mr. Collins. The second type of marriage is one based on love and mutual respect, which is exemplified by Elizabeth and Darcy's eventual union. Austen critiques those who enter into the former type of marriage while championing the latter. Throughout the course of the novel, various characters find their ideal partners, suggesting that happy and fulfilling marriages can result from looking beyond societal conventions and personal biases. Class and society are another major theme of Pride and Prejudice. Set in rural England during the early 1800s, the novel vividly portrays the rigid class structure of the time. The rigid class structure of early 19th century England is evident in the way characters are treated differently based on their social standing. For example, Elizabeth's family is looked down upon by the higher class characters due to their lower social status. Despite their respectable income, the Bennets are considered inferior to the Darcys and Bingleys because they do not possess a noble title or a large estate. This emphasis on class highlights the importance of social hierarchy in the lives of the characters and the constraints it places on their choices and opportunities. Characters like Darcy initially embody the arrogance and entitlement often associated with the upper class, while others like Elizabeth represent the intelligence and wit of the lower class. Through these characters, Austen satirizes the pretensions and hypocrisies of the English landed gentry, offering a critique of the class system of her time. Pride and Prejudice, of course, are the titular themes of the novel. Pride and Prejudice explores the destructive power of both Pride and Prejudice through the development of its main characters, Elizabeth and Darcy. Initially, Elizabeth is prejudiced against Darcy because of his social class and his friend Bingley's decision to leave town, which she blames on Darcy. Furthermore, she judges him harshly for his perceived arrogance and snobbishness. On the other hand, Darcy's pride in his social status and wealth prevents him from acknowledging his own faults and those of others. This pride leads him to make hasty judgments about Elizabeth and her family, as well as to treat them with disdain. As the story progresses, however, both characters learn valuable lessons about themselves and others. Elizabeth comes to understand the limitations of her own prejudices and the importance of looking beyond superficial qualities. Similarly, Darcy sheds his pride and becomes more humble in his interactions with others. By the end of the novel, both characters have overcome their pride and prejudice, ultimately leading to a deeper understanding of one another and a fulfilling relationship. Other important themes in Pride and Prejudice include family, the role of women in society, and the importance of second chances. Let us take a quick look at each of these before moving on to some of the major symbols in the novel. Family plays a significant role in Pride and Prejudice, particularly in shaping the values, beliefs, and actions of the main characters. The dynamics within the Bennet family are complex and varied. For example, the relationship between Elizabeth and her mother is strained due to their differing personalities and priorities. Elizabeth values independence and intellectual pursuits, while Mrs. Bennet is obsessed with marrying off her daughters. Similarly, Elizabeth's relationship with her sister Jane is marked by both love and occasional rivalry as they compete for attention and affection from those around them. Overall, the novel suggests that strong family bonds can provide support and guidance, but that conflicts within families can also arise from different values and perspectives. The role of women in society is another significant theme in Pride and Prejudice. The novel reflects the constraints and expectations placed on women during the Regency era. Women were expected to be passive and obedient, and their value in society was often tied to their ability to secure advantageous marriage. This is evident in the way that Mrs. Bennet treats her daughters, particularly Elizabeth, whom she sees as a potential ticket to a better life for herself. Despite these constraints, Elizabeth and other female characters, such as Charlotte Lucas and Georgiana Darcy, exhibit agency and independence. They make choices about their own futures, even if those choices go against societal norms. For example, Elizabeth refuses to marry Mr. Collins despite his social standing and financial security, choosing instead to remain single and independent. One of the major symbols in Pride and Prejudice is Pemberley, Darcy's grand estate. Pemberley represents not only Darcy's wealth and status, but also his character. When Elizabeth visits Pemberley, she is overwhelmed by its beauty and orderliness, which reflect Darcy's own honorable and generous nature. The symbol of Pemberley serves to highlight the contrast between Darcy's true character and the superficial judgments Elizabeth initially made about him based on his social class and demeanor. Another important symbol in the novel is the letter that Darcy writes to Elizabeth, explaining his actions regarding Bingley and Wickham. The letter is a turning point in Elizabeth's perception of Darcy, as it reveals his true character and motivations. Through the letter, Darcy defends his actions, explains his feelings for Elizabeth, and provides insight into his past. Elizabeth's response to the letter is a pivotal moment in the novel, as it marks the beginning of her journey towards overcoming her prejudice against him. The letter symbolizes the power of communication and the importance of understanding another person's perspective before forming an opinion. Now let's discuss some of the major characters in Pride and Prejudice. Fitzwilliam Darcy is one of the most beloved romantic heroes in English literature. Initially, he appears as a proud and aloof gentleman who looks down on Elizabeth and her family because of their lower social status. However, as the story progresses, Darcy's true character is revealed through his actions and his heartfelt letters to Elizabeth. He is shown to be honorable, generous, and deeply in love with Elizabeth. Despite his initial pride and prejudice, Darcy is ultimately able to win Elizabeth's heart and become a more humble and compassionate person as a result of their relationship. Elizabeth Bennet is the protagonist of Pride and Prejudice and one of the most iconic heroines in English literature. She is a witty, intelligent, and independent young woman who challenges the societal norms and expectations of her time. Elizabeth is initially prejudiced against Darcy because of his social class and his friend Bingley's departure from town. However, Through his actions and letters, she gradually comes to understand his true character and overcome her own pride and prejudice. Elizabeth's journey towards self-discovery and personal growth is a central part of the novel's theme, and ultimately leads to her happy ending with Darcy. Jane Bennet is Elizabeth's older sister and represents the ideal of feminine beauty and sweetness. Jane is beautiful, kind and gentle, and she captures the heart of the wealthy Mr. Bingley. Unlike Elizabeth, Jane is more naive and less critical of others, which sometimes makes her vulnerable to the manipulations of those around her. However, Jane's inherent goodness and sincerity ultimately lead to a happy marriage with Bingley, emphasizing the rewards of a simple and virtuous life. Mr. Bingley is a wealthy bachelor who falls in love with Jane Bennet. He is described as amiable, good-natured and easy to get along with. Unlike his friend Darcy, Bingley is more open-minded and less judgmental towards Elizabeth and her family. He quickly establishes a close relationship with the Bennets, particularly Mr. Bennet, and is eager to court Jane. Bingley's character embodies the qualities of a perfect romantic partner, being both wealthy and kind-hearted, and his relationship with Jane is a model of a happy and fulfilling marriage based on love and mutual respect. Mr. Collins is a pompous and obsequious clergyman who is the heir to the Bennet estate. He is a prime example of the absurdity and hypocrisy of the English landed gentry. Mr. Collins is obsessed with social status and is eager to marry one of the Bennet sisters in order to secure his own position. His proposal to Elizabeth, which is motivated solely by self-interest and social climbing, is a major catalyst for her growth and self-discovery. Through his ridiculous behavior and misguided sense of propriety, Mr. Collins serves as a foil to the more admirable characters in the novel, highlighting their strengths by comparison. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button below to let us know. Remember to subscribe and click the bell icon so that you're notified every time we upload a new video.